Democracy today is the most important form of governance and tool of socialization in today's culture. One of the tools that make democracy work is elections. And one of the core things that make elections work is participation. One thing also that limits participation is violence. With us today is one of the most fluent voices when it comes to upholding the electoral integrity in the October 10 gubernatorial election. He's the coordinator of the Vote Not Fight campaign and also the coordinator of the Ondo State Youth Network. Today with us is Mr. Jonathan Obatola. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you, my brother. It's my pleasure to be here.
You're welcome to Conversation Ondo. We thank you for coming across. So, sir, let's just get a brief. Last week you organized a training for as regards the election. Can you give us a full debrief about how that went and what exactly it was about?
All right, my name is Jonathan Obatola, and I'm the executive director of the Paysetters. The Paysetters is an organization based by the mission to develop young people for effective participation in nation building. So last week, as you've said, we actually organized a program to sensitize young people about participation, because there are different levels of participation. And one thing that is key to us as an organization is to ensure that we have a peaceful atmosphere throughout the electoral cycle in Ondo State. So what we did was an advocacy and voter education training for young people. The campaign is Vote Not Fight campaign. It's a project we are embarking on as an organization, and our target is young people. We understand that the young people constitute by far the largest chunk of the total population of the people in Ondo State, and we understand that over time, young people have been used to perpetrate electoral violence. So we think it is very important as an organization to sensitize these young people so that they will continue to participate at a very matured level, at a level that is expected of young people. Not that some people will be using them to instigate or to perpetrate violence or to implement violence into society. So what we did majorly is to recruit trainable, teachable young people that have deep understanding of democracy, and to also introduce them to the electoral act, the offenses that we have in the electoral act, because most people are not aware. So we think it is important for us as young people to come together. We think it is important for us as an organization to bring the young people together, educate them, and let them go back to their various local government areas to step the knowledge acquired from that training down to the people at the grassroots level. And that is what they have been doing now. We have cases of young people organizing, part of those people that were trained, organizing seminars for young people in their wards, in their local government areas. So what we did is we recruit one person per local government area. So these people, after 3 days of effective leadership and voter education training, we send them back to their various localities. So what they are doing now at their various levels is to recruit one person per ward. So these people, they are stepping down the knowledge acquired from the training we had last week.
Like a training the trainers session.
Training the trainers. So that was what we did for them. Now the trainers are back to their locality, training young people in their locality to ensure that when people are aware, you understand. So the young people must be aware of their rights. They must be aware of those electoral violence, even triggers of electoral violence.
So let's talk about triggers of electoral violence. What are those triggers? How specific can you get around explaining what those triggers are?
Yeah, we have different type, or let me say different form of activities or development that can trigger violence throughout the electoral cycle. For example, when we are talking about the electoral cycle, you are looking at the voter registration, continuous voters registration, CVR. You are looking at, that is a stage. You are looking at the election stage, pre-election stage, during the election and after the election. So a lot of things can trigger violence in the community. So one of those things are hate speech. When you mention hate speech, when somebody is embarking on a campaign of calumny against the opposition or another candidate, those are the things that can trigger electoral violence, especially during the election day, during sorting, counting, even during voting process. When somebody threatening you that leave that place, you cannot vote, and somebody is like threatening you, that is, according to the Electoral Act, such person can be subjected to 1 year imprisonment or pay a sum of 500,000 as fine. So if you are unfortunate and you met a judge that is not tempering mercy with justice, such person can tell such judge can tell that person to go and pay 500,000 as fine and also go to imprisonment of 1 year. So that these are the things that we are telling young people, that you need to be aware that when you do this, there's a penalty. When you do this, there's a penalty to pay for it. So we are happy because we are getting feedbacks from the field. So the objective of the campaign is to ensure peaceful participation of young people throughout the election cycle. There's going to be different activities that the young people are still going to be embarking on in their various local government areas. And as an organization, the Pacesetters is going to organize stakeholders engagement. We are going to meet all the party candidates. We are going to meet the governor, who is also the chief security officer of the state. So we are going to engage the security, even the electoral management body, the INEC. It is important that INEC and the security agencies will remain unbiased during the election process. So because those are the things that can trigger electoral violence in the prior to the election, on the day of election, or after the election.
So key things that you mentioned is saying that biasness can cause electoral violence.
Of course.
When people are disenfranchised from voting, it can cause electoral violence. When there is calumny, when there is
campaign of calumny.
yes, and there is name calling and all that, those can trigger electoral violence. What other issues, especially as it relates to young people, allows that to happen? There's one major one that we talk about, that the fact that people are poor and the fact that votes have become sellable and become buyable. Is it not convenient for the political class for things to remain that way, for violence to continue?
Anyway, like you just said, one of those things that also trigger electoral violence is vote buying. So for instance, if a party is buying votes at the rate of 5,000 naira and the other party is willing to buy vote at the rate of 1,000 naira, you see that there's going to be crisis in such polling units, because the other party that do not have enough resources will not have more people to come and trade with them. So, and I think generally it is due to lack of sense of shame, lack of sense of worth, when people no longer know their values. That is why you see young people trading their vote for peanuts. That's why you see candidates of political party having a budget for vote buying. So it is because there is total lack of shame in our society. Today, people see political office as an opportunity to amass cheap wealth. So until we see it as an opportunity to serve the people, to give them dividends of democracy, to represent them at various levels, to see that we are working for the people, and to also, as a strong individual, to also contribute to your quota to build strong institutions in this country. So until we see those things in place, people will not give cognizance to the fact that leadership is a call to serve the people. So I think it has to do with our value system, the moral decadence in the side of the youth, the political class, even security agencies that will come and that are expected to safeguard the sanctity and integrity of the system. You see them taking peanuts from party agents so that they will allow the political parties to perpetrate all manners of,
So who is to blame here exactly? Is it if you went to accord blame and say when something is wrong when something is wrong, there's always there are always factors to blame, but there's always the root cause. Who do you think you would accord blame to and say you are the bad child in this instance? Who is the bad child in this instance?
I will not agree that we need to blame the system or leadership. Of course, everything rise and fall on leadership, but if we are going to get this country back, if we are going to put Nigeria, starting from Ondo State, on the map of greatness, all hands must be on deck. The young person, the followers, the leadership, the institution. We have to build everything together. We're talking about value system. A parent or a family where they do not uphold strong ethical fiber. So what do we expect from
The children
in such family? So it is not about even the children of such family that is holding political office. How do you want such person to be efficient in service delivery? So you cannot expect less. So it is a collective responsibility of the people of Ondo State, of the people of this country, to build a society that is prosperous, a society that we can be proud of. That I'm a citizen of Nigeria. I'm a proud son of Ondo State. Gone are those days when they say Ondo State is a place of pride. Gone are those days ìpínlẹ̀ Ondo, ìpínlẹ̀ àmúyangàn, ọmọlúàbí. You understand? So such values, a lot of responsibility, a lot of expectation come from ọmọlúàbí. And ọmọlúàbí will not sell his vote.
So
And
the question I was trying to reach was, who exactly, or what exactly is responsible for that degradation of our value system? So from the analysis you gave earlier, you analyzed how it was that political parties now have a budget for vote buying. Is that a cause or is that an effect?
If you have been actively following or getting involved in Nigeria elections since the return to democracy in 1999, you see that there are stages of electoral violence, there are stages of a lot of issues that we are not happy with in the system. Gone are those days that when you have the men that can snatch ballot boxes, men that can disrupt the polling units, men that can get even the security agencies on their knees. When you have them on your side, you win elections. But now,
there is a political enlightenment
due to sensitization, advocacy,
due to the kind of work that you are currently doing.
Based on, thank you. So those things, we are gradually moving
forward.
So it is also sad that in the last 4 years, vote buying is another ugly occurrence that has come to stay. And all we are doing now is to ensure that we continue to educate our people that the 2,000 naira you are going to take on that day will not take you to anywhere.
So my quirk is, I think that a lot of times we need to be more pointed as regards when we talk about the problems that we talk about. A lot of the issues that allow these problems to remain is a lot of times we gloss over these issues. So we say it, but we don't really say it so that we don't offend some people. Yeah. But how exactly are you saying it as vote not fight? Okay. So how are you speaking to these stakeholders? What exactly is your communication to them? So from political parties to political leaders to people on what exactly is your messaging exactly?
All right, let me just take you through some of our activities.
Yes.
Our activity, we've commenced this activity for over 4 weeks. We have trained young people on the need to also go and train others to advocate for good governance, to also have understanding of the Electoral Act so that they will not go out to commit or perpetrate election-related violence. So there are different phases of our engagement that we are doing. So for instance, by next week, we are going to be holding a training session for youth leaders of major political parties in Ondo State.
So what are you saying in those trainings?
In those training we are having with the youth leaders, we understand that youth has been used over time to perpetrate evil. And it is the youth leaders, the youth wing of political parties that have been used by political henchmen to carry out such activities. So what we are doing with the youth leaders of political parties is to train them, to educate them, that it is only in a peaceful atmosphere that development and good governance can
happen in democracy.
So we want to tell them that it is only when you are alive that you can even be a beneficiary
of whatever
dividends of democracy.
Yes.
So one of those things that we want to get from them, and even with our engagement with even party candidates, we are going to meet the governor, Arakunolu Arotemi Akeredolu, a senior advocate of Nigeria. We are going to meet him next month, and meeting him and other stakeholders. One of the things we want to get from them is the public commitment to a peaceful environment during this election. So we want to ensure that one of those things that we put in place is also we have a pledge card. The pledge card is like a peace treaty that you want to sign with the people of Ondo State.
As a stakeholder.
As a candidate in that election. All the candidates, we have about 17 of them. We're going to be engaging them, give them the peace accord to sign. And we are expecting them to sign it and also to mobilize their people, their teaming supporters to participate peacefully in the election.
You spoke earlier when you talked about political, public commitment to peace. There is a statement that is raging on social media. One of the biggest voices in Ondo State, in person of Dia Kekemeke, was making statements that was saying that they would use whatever it is, even violence, to win the elections. What do you think of that statement, and what do you think would be your efforts as an organization to tame whatever effect that statement might or might not have?
All right. I think I have watched that on the social media for of course, about 3 times, and I want to agree with him according to what he later said on the Chinese TV, that it was sarcasm and it is meant for his members of the members of his family, and that it is just a pep talk. So I want to agree with him on that. But as a campaign, the vote not fight campaign, understand that DIKKMK is a stakeholder when we are talking about electoral system in Ondo State, and such person we cannot afford to leave him behind. So it will be costly. So such person, we look forward to meeting to also ensure that he publicly pronounce and support the Vote Not Fight campaign by signing the pledge card with us that is going to participate peacefully throughout the electoral cycle. That is also going to mobilize his followers to participate throughout the electoral cycle peacefully. You understand, he's a fighter, like he said, he's a militant, like he said, but a fighter, a militant for good governance, a fighter, and an advocate of a democracy or a system whereby a democracy that guarantees good governance. So we have known him for a very long time as an advocate for good governance. So it is on that note that we engage him, and also we cannot afford to leave behind the big boys in the town, the likes the former gubernatorial or aspirants. All of them are stakeholders. We are going to engage them. We are going to engage the governor of the state. We are going to engage the other senior advocate of Nigeria on the ticket of the PDP. We are going to engage the deputy governor and other big boys that are on the ballot. So the 17 candidates of the political parties are going to be engaged. So the biggest support we can get from them is for them to publicly pronounce and declare their support for the Vote Not Fight campaign during their flag off. So I look forward to seeing the governor of Ondo State, endorsing the Vote Not Fight campaign publicly, telling his people not to perpetrate in electoral violence. He's a senior advocate of Nigeria. Throughout his life, he has been a lawyer, so he's a professional in politics. So we expect him and other candidates of the other political parties to participate peacefully in the elections, to mobilize their people based on their value system, to participate in the election peacefully. So we are going to engage every stakeholders in Ondo to ensure a peaceful atmosphere.
Okay, so one of the reasons why political violence still thrives is in the toolbox of political parties. It allows them to keep participation limited, which is one of the tactics political parties use for relevance. So they only get their own people to participate, then they limit participation for other people. So probably in places where their opponents are strongest, they do whatever it is that they can to scatter support in those places. Why do you think that tool still remains in the toolbox of political parties? And what do we have to do to remove that tool from the toolbox, like specifics?
Anyway, one of those things that we have observed over time is we observe people sponsoring violence where they are not relevant, where they know they cannot win elections. So we still want to advocate that young people should get out and vote, that young people should be part of decision-making process. An opportunity to vote is an opportunity to shape destinies of this nation. It is an opportunity to shape the way Ondo State is going to look like in the next 4 years. The infrastructural development we are seeing now, it is as a result of the fact that some people come out to vote to give the incumbent the mandate to lead this state for another 4 years. So the notion that vote will not count, we must jettison such notion. We must rise beyond petty partisanship and our religious belief that what will be will be. What will be will not be if you do not participate in the electoral system. So this is an election. A vote cast is important. So that is why, as an organization, the pace setters will continue to push for participation of young people in the electoral system. It is very, very important, and we cannot afford to miss that. So if you look at the numbers of people that voted in the last gubernatorial election compared to the numbers of persons that registered to vote, we have about 30%, or yes, 30% of the total registered voters that come out to vote, when young people are over 50%. So
Around
then,
55% more correctly.
of course, the interpretation of that is, if the young people should come out to vote, then you see representation of the people of Ondo State in a system whereby we vote and only 30% of the people are telling us who
Who is the
emerge as the governor of the state. It
That is
means,
not correct.
you understand? So, but when you do not come out to vote, what will you have to say? So that is why we want to employ young people.
So you are saying that you will do whatever it is that you can to fight violence, but people should not look at that and still come out to vote in spite of that.
What I'm saying is that people should come out to exercise their franchise. It is their civic responsibility.
Yes, so the question I was asking was, one of the reasons that makes it difficult is because of the fact that political parties still see violence as a tool to use. So how do we break that? Because if there's violence, parents will say stay at home, don't come out to vote. They'll tell their children don't come out to vote. But so how do we break that cycle? Is what I'm trying to say.
The cycle is already being broken. We have moved from that era whereby it is when you have the big men as your support base, those people that can snatch ballot boxes.
So you are saying that fear is based on nothing.
It is fading off. So people still live on that
old
notion, preconceived notion that people will sponsor electoral violence, that they don't want to die, they don't want to get injured, they don't want to, and that is why they don't want to participate in election. No, election is, it is your right to vote. It is the only right you have to shape the policies of this state. So that is why we want to encourage young people to rise beyond all those preconceived notions and to come out and exercise their franchise, to vote for their choice candidate.
You are saying that the fear that you have is unfounded. There is no need to fear. Although the elections is going to be peaceful and your organization is going to ensure that. That is the assurance that you are giving. Okay. So the extension to that is, what kind of support are you looking towards from people, from political candidates, from EMBs, from the youth constituents? What kind of support are you looking forward to as an organization to help that mission?
All right, different stroke for different folks.
Yes.
So for the political parties, which are the major beneficiary of the electoral process,
yes,
is our expectation from them. Basically, the candidates of the political parties is to publicly declare their support for the Vote Not Fight campaign. The Vote Not Fight campaign is a campaign that promotes peaceful participation of young people in the election process. It is a campaign that is speaking against hate speech, that is condemning violence in all ramifications. So we expect, for example, Governor Oluwarotimakiolu, during his flag off, to tell his people to go out and vote peacefully, not to fight, to participate peacefully in the election. So we also expect the other candidates of other political parties like Eyita Ojegede, Agbola Ajayi, the deputy governor, my friend Dotun Ojo, the youngest gubernatorial candidate in this election, to tell his teaming supporters, go out and vote, cast your vote. We are not fighting in this election. It is not a do or die affair. It is about our future. It is about Ondo State that works. So that is what we are expecting from them, and by the grace of God, we are going to ensure that they comply with us. We are trusting they are peace-loving people, and they will continue to mobilize their people towards a peaceful atmosphere during the gubernatorial elections.
Okay, so the thing that now comes as the only standing issue that now leaves is, the truth is, you said earlier when we were talking about instigators, retaliators, collaborators, and perpetrators. So the category that young people fall into most times is the category of the perpetrators and the retaliators and the collaborators. Majorly, and these are the people who bear the biggest brunt of violence and bear the biggest effects thereafter. Mm-hmm. But one of the things that makes this happen is the fact that political parties or instigators require violence as a form of loyalty card that these people can offer. What other form of loyalty card can young people offer to gain value from these instigators?
Was it Aristotle that said you should know thy word? So I think it is lack of sense of value and the lack of sense of worth on the part of the young people that will subject them to perpetrating violence during an election. Because when you see yourself as someone that can govern on those states, it will be difficult.
To fight for.
It will be difficult to perpetrate violence on election day. On the side of the instigators of electoral violence, the money bags, the party candidates, the political henchmen, it is lack of shame to accept that you are not acceptable by the people. If you know you are acceptable by the people, you need not to sponsor or instigate violence to disrupt the process anywhere. So I want to also tell the young people that they should choose their leaders carefully. When you know your leader, that your leader have zero tolerance for violence, then what? So when you choose your leaders carefully, look for somebody that have the same belief system like you, people that you know can teach you, people leaders that you know that can serve as your mentor, as your role models anywhere you find yourself in life. So those are the people that you should follow as your leaders. So I also want to agree that in any system that or in any society that people still have fear of their reputation, of safeguarding their reputation, people will not perpetrate in electoral violence. So
Okay, so in advancing young people, so you say that they should know their reward and they should build capacity. So either
build
through
capacity,
economic development, skill
skills
development,
development,
education,
life
and,
skills.
and, and these other important issues, they can use that as form of leverage to do that. Then how are you engaging with people who do not have access to these systems? How are you engaging with them?
Of course, we understand that there are different forms of or classes of young people. The ones that are privileged to go to the universities, the ones that are privileged to information, to the social media, and to traditional media. So, but we still have some that live in the hinterlands, some people that different classes. So, what we do basically is to continue to sensitize these people. Some people are taking up the job of perpetrating electoral violence because they do not know the consequences of electoral offense. So we want to continue to engage them, to tell them when you threaten people on the election day, this is what you stand to lose. When you are canvassing for vote on election day, this is what you stand to lose. When you perpetrate in this for election related violence, this is what you stand to lose. So when they are aware of the consequences of their action, I believe they will want to they will not want to engage in electoral violence. So that is what we will continue to do to them. We're going to be engaging them on the radio. We'll be doing advocacy, door to door, peer to peer advocacy to ensure that we reach out to as much as possible young people in Ondo State.
So there's an interesting thing in your document about when you talk about power mapping. What does that exactly entail?
Yeah, power mapping is looking at your environment, knowing those in charge of some resources, those that influence things in the society. So power mapping basically is something that we have done as an organization, and we've identified those that control the majority in the society, the party candidates, the major political parties. We have been able to identify some persons in the political parties that if we get their support for vote not fight campaign, then Ondo State will be peaceful.
Okay.
So it's as a result of doing power mapping, and that is helping us as an organization to carry out a campaign that we that we allow peaceful participation of people in the election.
Okay. So, in summary, Mr. Jonathan Obatola has put together, like he has told us what exactly triggered violence, citing poverty, citing vote buying, among other factors that has contributed to taking. And he's saying that his organization is committed to getting us beyond that. But we also, as young people, also have a part to play in that we should forget the fear that we have that violence will exist, that is assuring that elections will be peaceful, that we should go out and vote. He's also saying that the structures that do not allow participation to happen, his organization will work tirelessly to reduce that and to assure that we have a peaceful Ondo State, peaceful election in Ondo State. This conversation, Ondo, the message that we are giving to you is simple. And as young people, we should do what? We should vote and not fight. We should vote and not fight. And that's
election, not be war.
Mr. Jonathan Obatola is saying. It's a delight to have you here, sir. And I hope come October 10, you will come out en masse and you will vote and you will not fight. This is Conversation Ondo. See you in the next episode. Thank you.